What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Monday, December 20th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by No House Advantage. All new users to No House Advantage receive a $25 deposit using the code Awesemo. Today, we're going to take a look at 5 of the best tournament options in DraftKings GPPs. Remember, especially with everything going on in the NBA right now, news is subject to change between now and lock. Things change, ownership will change, projections change. But for now, looking at the top 5 tournament options at this point in time, coming in at number 5, Robert Williams, $5,700 center for the Boston Celtics, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. It's a risky spot for him. Joel Embiid is questionable on the other side for the Sixers. If he plays, we know that comes with substantial foul risk for Robert Williams. But Al Horford remains out for the Celtics. Williams has averaged about 33 minutes per game in games that Horford has missed this year. In 2 recent games, he played 29 minutes against the Knicks in his last game. He played about 37 minutes against the Golden State Warriors 2 games ago. Williams has averaged 1.04 DraftKings points per minute in the games that he has played without Horford this season. So the upside certainly there. He's projected for 8% ownership with a 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup on DraftKings. Coming in at number 4, Lonzo Ball, coming off of a 38-minute game last night, takes on the Houston Rockets tonight. One of the most appealing matchups you can get. The Rockets are one of the fastest teams in the league. They are not very good defensively. Ball will once again be playing without Zach LaVine as well, which opens up plenty of minutes, helps to solidify his minutes, in addition to opening up some additional opportunities to produce fantasy points. We know that a lot of LaVine's vacated usage will go to DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic, but there is also the potential for Lonzo to step up and play a bigger role as well. Overall, this season, he's produced 0.92 DraftKings points per minute. Even if he just maintains that rate without LaVine on the floor, you would expect him to produce at a higher level in this matchup. So far, without LaVine on the floor this year in 200 minutes, Ball's averaged 1.02 DraftKings points per minute. He's currently projected for 16% ownership with an 18% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Coming in at number 3, Damion Lee. This is a spot where I do think we're going to need to pay a lot of attention to ownership throughout the day. We currently only have him projected for 7% ownership with a 23% chance of being in the starting lineup. A lot of this is going to depend on what Golden State's lineup looks like. We know that Andrew Wiggins is out. We know that Jordan Poole is out. Lee started and played about 35 minutes in the Warriors' last game. They were also without Draymond Green. They were also without Stephen Curry. Those two will be back today. So it remains to be seen if Lee replaces Wiggins in the starting lineup. But if he does, it's a signal that he's likely to play a lot of minutes. Even if he comes off the bench, though, there's still plenty of minutes available here. We know that Steve Kerr is capable of throwing spot starters like Moses Moody into the lineup and then only playing them 10 to 12 minutes. We could certainly see some substantial run for Damion Lee off the bench as well. He's not a great fantasy producer, only around 0.7 fantasy points per minute, but this is an excellent spot against the Sacramento Kings. Lee is inexpensive. If he maintains low ownership, he's going to look like a great option in tournaments tonight. Coming in at number 2, Harrison Barnes, projected for 23% ownership on DraftKings with a 29% chance of being in the optimal lineup. We've seen Sacramento have to play their starters huge minutes recently because they are shorthanded. They're missing De'Aaron Fox. They're missing Marvin Bagley. They're missing a lot of normal rotation pieces. Now, the Kings do have 11 active bodies for tonight's game as of last count. So if the game gets out of hand, which is certainly a possibility against the Warriors, they could certainly limit the starters. They've been playing them huge minutes. They could kind of, give them a quarter of the game off. But assuming that the Kings are able to keep this at least remotely close, you're likely to get another 35 to 36 minutes from Harrison Barnes. He's only $6,000 on DraftKings with small forward and power forward eligibility. He's averaged 0.94 DraftKings points per minute in 171 minutes without Fox on the floor this season. He looks like he's going a little bit underowned. And then from the same Sacramento team, capping it off with the number 1 DraftKings tournament play on the slate, Buddy Hield, coming in at a healthy 33% ownership, but also with a 36% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Just looks like an example of good chalk here. Again, you have the downside risk where the Warriors just jump out to a massive lead, and this is a 35-point game halfway through the third quarter, in which case you could certainly see the Kings just rest everyone that's been playing a lot of minutes. But if they're able to even keep this within 10 to 15 points going into the fourth quarter, you're likely to get at least mid-30s, if not more, from Buddy Hield. He's averaged 0.99 DraftKings points per minute with a 24% usage rate without De'Aaron Fox on the floor this season. He's still very reasonably priced at $5,800 on DraftKings, and he has shooting guard and small forward eligibility, which makes it easier to get him into lineups. So to recap, the number 5 tournament option on DraftKings, Robert Williams, $5,700, 8% ownership, 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Number 4, Lonzo Ball, 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup, 18% ownership as a $7,700 point guard. Coming in at number 3, Damion Lee, 23% chance of being in the optimal lineup, 7% projected ownership. Do keep an eye on the projected ownership as the day goes on. A lot of that is going to depend on exactly what Golden State's starting lineup is once they announce it. Number 2, Harrison Barnes, 23% projected ownership, 29% chance of being in the optimal lineup. And rounding out with the number 1 tournament play on the slate, Buddy Hield, 33% ownership, 36% chance of being in the optimal lineup.